Hello everybody, and welcome to a new concept on this channel in predicting Premier League games. So every week, it's going to be me and a guest on the channel predicting the appearance of every single Premier League match for the entire game week. So how the points work, which we'll tally up throughout the season, is it's 3 points if you get it exactly correct, 1 point if you get the result correct, and then no points if you don't get the result correct. So, today we have a first guest who you might recognize from appearances on the channel before. Alright, so first, on the first game of all of the Premier League season, we have Manchester United versus Fulham. Alright, this is the 2 o'clock game on Friday. So, how do you think this is going to stack up, guest?
So, I don't know. It's a big team versus a small team. Man United just have so many better players, even though I don't love to say that. I think it'll be 2-1 in favor of Man United to open the season.
I think that this will be a close match. I think that Emile Smith-Rowe will actually have an appearance, which you don't see much with Arsenal, but I hope he gets a good impact on Fulham. So I'm going to say a 1-1 draw with Man United and Fulham.
Okay, I wouldn't hate to see that.
Yeah, neither would I. So next we move on to the Saturday games. And first we have Ipswich versus Liverpool. Now Ipswich is the newly promoted team, but Liverpool have a new manager after 7 years under Jurgen Klopp and Arne Slot. How do you think this one's going to stack up?
Ipswich are not a good team. I can name 5 teams in the championship who I think are better than them. And Liverpool are Liverpool. Top team in the Premier League, so I think this will be 3-0 to Liverpool.
Okay.
Pretty easy win for them.
Yeah, I have quite a few Liverpool players on my fantasy challenge team this year, which makes sense because Liverpool's playing Ipswich, and I also think this is going to be a crushing by Liverpool, and I'm going to say 4-1 to the Reds. Okay. Next we have a plethora of 9 o'clock games our time, or 3 o'clock British time. So, first, there's Arsenal, or well, not really first, but Arsenal and Wolves is the game that we're going to predict first, and I think that the second place team from the last 2 years is going to take this one, but in a closer match than normal. I think it's going to be 2-1 in the Emirates to Arsenal.
Okay. I don't know. Arsenal's defense is amazing with just everyone in that back line. So I don't know if Wolves can score here. I don't know if their offense will have it in this matchup. I'm going to go 1-0 for Arsenal.
All right. I'd say that's a pretty, sounds like a pretty good prediction for this game. Arsenal had the most clean sheets last year, which is why a lot of people have Arsenal defenders on fantasy this year. So it's a very sensible prediction. Then next we have Everton versus Brighton. So this is battle of the blue teams, and I think this is going to be the first draw of the Premier League season. And I'm going to say it's going to be a disappointing 0-0 draw because Everton has a solid defense. I'm just not sure how much Brighton is going to do under their new 31-year-old manager. I hope that they do well because I don't hate Brighton, and I think this will be an interesting matchup later in the season. But I think both teams will need time to set in for their seasons.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, Everton also a strong defense with little offense. But I think Brighton get one through here. I'm going to go 1-0 to Brighton.
All right. Next, we have Newcastle versus Southampton. Newcastle, of course, the Saudi-owned team with unlimited money. And Southampton, the newly promoted team, which... let's just say, isn't the greatest team in the Premier League's history. So how do you think this one's going to stack up?
I think it's going to be a 3-1 to Newcastle. I think Southampton are going to take a while to adjust, if they do adjust at all. Going forward, I think Southampton are going to struggle for sure, and Newcastle are not going to help them with that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to go 2-0. To Newcastle. I don't really see Southampton doing much in the beginning weeks of the Premier League, but I'd love to see them prove me wrong. So I think it's going to be Newcastle. Then next we have the meh game of the 9 o'clock hour. We have Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth, two lower table teams last year, and Bournemouth's big hero Dominic Solanke has transferred to Tottenham. So I think that this will be a very hard fought game, because even though it's the first week, these points are extremely important for both Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. But I'm going to say Nottingham Forest actually ekes this one out 2-1 over Bournemouth.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say 1-0 to Forest. I just think Bournemouth don't have enough offense with Solanke gone. He was, easily their top offensive producer. And I think Forest just are going to fight harder and eventually get that one to send it over the top.
Right, makes sense. And then now we have the 11:30 game, the 5:30 time in Britain. And now we have my team, West Ham United versus Aston Villa. Now Aston Villa is in the Champions League this year after an amazing season under Unai Emery last year. And West Ham has made a ton of new signings, which I'm very proud of, to hope they can vault themselves back into European competition. What do you think about this one?
These are two exciting teams for this year, both with some great offensive players and a solid defensive unit. But I think Aston Villa get this one 3-2 on 2 goals from Ollie Watkins. He's just too good for them, and I feel like he's going to keep that going.
Yeah. Of course, I've got some West Ham bias, but I just can't see us winning this game in the first week. So I'm going to say a 2-2 draw. High scoring, good game in between Aston Villa and West Ham.
Okay.
All right. So now we move into Sunday, August 18th. And first we have basically the definition of the 2 o'clock Britain time game with Brentford versus Crystal Palace. Two teams that are mid-table usually. Brentford had a little bit of a disappointing season last year, and Crystal Palace had a pretty great end to their season. So I'm going to say Crystal Palace ekes this one out 2-1. I think Brentford with Ivan Toney and Mbeumo will at least get one, but Crystal Palace under their new manager seems like a pretty exciting team compared to what they have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think Brentford actually take this one, but not by much. It's going to be 2-1 because of how you describe Brentford's offense, essentially. Mbeumo and Ivan Toney. Now that he's back from, I think it was a gambling season-long suspension.
Yeah, suspension, yeah.
But I would like to see Crystal Palace do something. They're a pretty exciting team.
Yeah. Now we have the match of the week, probably, in between Man City and Chelsea. You remember last year where they had that 4-4 absolute, duking out last year, which was probably the match of the year. And I'm going to say Man City ekes this one out in a high-scoring 3-2 at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, Chelsea, their offense is not much other than Cole Palmer and penalty kicks. And Man City, I think, are disciplined enough to not let that happen. I think Man City take this one 2-0 in a controlling victory.
Okay, I can see that from the 4-time champions in a row now. And now we move into the last game of the game week on Monday in the King Power Stadium in Leicester. It's Spurs versus Leicester. And I'm going to say that Ange Postecoglou's team will roll over their adversary and win this game 3-0.
Wow. Okay. I'm going very different than that. I'm going a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
I think Leicester, even though they just came up, are a much better team than you would think. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Spurs have been all right this offseason. Nothing crazy. They did get Archie Gray, which is an exciting signing.
True. All right. So that is the predictions for this first game week. And we hope you tune in next week to see the scores of this week and for predictions with me and another guest. So, see you next time. Subscribe.